What is going on, guys? We're back with the Coyote swapped Foxbody drift car. So we got it out last weekend in a rush and made it to a private rental. Unfortunately, Dylan's 2-valve ate the dust. So the Foxbody was
officially a milkshake machine.
Yeah, it was the backup. But we made it out. We had some issues with the front suspension. We made some at the track adjustments to get it to just work. And now we're doing some more tweaks. I actually didn't even film it, but we threw some 62-pound injectors. So we're now gonna be ready to run E85. Those just came in, 62's there. We have already started on trying to raise the rear because it's just too low. The exhaust is scraping, it's hard to get in and out of the trailer, and if I wanted to run any sort of 18-inch wheel, it would have been way too low.
Making it so it clears. Basically, the previous owners,
yeah,
I guess they were trying to run 18s, so they did the
I did not like this. Oh, this is sharp. We gotta,
yeah, that's right.
We gotta cut that off. Yeah. So there's a lot of sharp things inside the car too.
None of this car is like rounded off at all. It just wants to cut you constantly.
Yeah.
But they didn't do a great job of cutting it to begin with, but they cut it to fit, I think, 18s, what we just saw with the big wide tire. We'll see it in here in a second. So, and they've got the super low feels on the rear, so I don't have too much more adjustment here. So I'm adjusted probably another 1/4 inch up.
Yeah, we're just trying to get a little bit more ride height out of it.
And then if it hits this still a little, so it wasn't hitting this, but it would hit it under compression. So if it hits it a little bit more on this inner lip, we'll just take a small hammer and tap it in because it's already messed up. There's no fixing this.
Yep.
I mean,
you almost just cut your hand open.
Yeah, I know, it caught my glove. If we're ever gonna fix this, it's gonna be putting an over fender, and in that case, you cut all of this out so you can max out your suspension travel, and then you just put the over on it, and you don't see that. So it's already screwed up, so if we screwed up a little bit more, it's not the end of the world.
Yep.
But for now, we're just gonna make it work. We're gonna make the ride height better so you can run 18s, and go from there, because 18s you can get a wider tire. Like Kenda only makes a 255 and a 17, but they go up to like a 285 and 18, and more width means more grip means more go fast.
Right. Yep. There's a few other things we're going to be touching up. I think we got to adjust the clutch master slave cylinder, give a little bit more preload. Like I said, it's already on E85. I got to go load the tune into it. I'll show you guys a little tune change we're going to make on it, and then I'll probably get it out running on the same timing table as the 93, but then I'll go throw the spicy E85 sauce timing table into it. And
I also want to clean up the mid-range, like because you kind of threw a bunch of mid-range timing in, and it helped a lot, but you might want to touch it up a little bit more.
Yeah, there's probably a lot more to be had on E85, especially in the lower RPM range. All right, so we just got the tune loaded in. All I did was change the injector data. We got a 9.8 Stoic for E85. So, in theory, you good if I start this thing?
Yeah, you're good.
I think we should be good to start her right up. Sounds decent. I think there was still a little bit of 93 that was mixed in, so we might see the short terms, correcting a little bit. And we do. We see some corrections there, 15% or so. So I think as it gets more closer to E85, it'll get closer to that 5% that we were seeing before. And you can see 10% right there. Another way to counteract kind of an E70 or 60 mixture is we can play with the Stoic value here. So I could go ahead and make this like 10.2 and or something like that, 10 something. We can do a calculation, figure it out. But if we think that we don't have quite the alcohol content, based off of our short terms, then we can go ahead and change that out. But right now, it looks like we're only about 5 to 10% off. So I say we just run that out and get some fresh E85 in there. But it seems like she's running pretty good after the injector change. 1.0 Lambda. running pretty decent.
Previous owners, like I said earlier, kind of cut this wonky. They actually like didn't fold the inner lip over, so now you just got this nice, sharp, jagged piece. So I'm gonna trim it off.
Surprised it didn't kill any of the tires.
I just don't think the tire comes this way far enough with how low it was and how skinny the tires you were running were.
Yeah, well, there are marks on this one. I don't know if those were there.
That's the left side. That's the side that was on this side.
Ah.
So what we're gonna do, we're gonna cut that off, and then I'm gonna take a flat disc and just like right here where it kind of comes down where they didn't get a good cut, I'm just gonna kind of lightly go over it real quick to try and smooth it out, just so there's less of a chance of us rubbing anywhere.
Yeah, I think what like the wide body guys will do is they'll like pinch these and then they'll weld that together.
Well, they cut way up here and then they push this, so they cut the outer skin way up here, right? And then they push that skin up to meet it because they don't cut the inner skin at all. Because it's two pieces and they kind of come down. And then they weld it up here. That way they have as much travel as they want, and then they just slap the over, and the over comes over the outside of the tire so that they are able to achieve much longer shock travel, which helps in a lot of ways.
Yep.
So, and then also face shield for cutting shit. I didn't start using them until lately, but when you're cutting stuff and sparks aren't going into your eyes, it's great. So.
All right, let's see where the ride height is now. Got the fenders cleaned up a bit. This is this is an 18 by 10 over here, so that's kind of the biggest thing that we would run.
Honestly, it might be a 10 and a half.
Yeah, it's a pretty big one. And then this one's
18 by 9, I think.
Yeah.
Now let's push down on the rear to get it to settle.
Yeah, I think it looks pretty good.
It's still low.
Yeah, definitely still low, but I think we got a little bit more clearance now.
Got a lot more clearance. I think we're set. I don't think you'll have any rubbing issues, or if you do have rubbing, it'll be a light rub. It won't be enough to cut the tire, really.
Yeah.
It'll be just an occasional if you hit compression. Like let's say you go off track and hit a real big bump, it'll scrape, but I can fit almost 2 fingers to the inside on that side. Granted, you probably have to settle a little bit more, so yeah, almost 2 fingers on both sides, which is ideal because you want as much suspension travel as possible. So I don't get static guys sometimes because they're running like 10,000 pound springs. They're like, bro, it seems like a rock. He's like, yeah, but the stance. I'm like, but the performance.
Yeah, I think we should be good there, even when we go back to the 17s, the street wheels. So what do we gotta do in the front?
Gotta do a lot of stuff.
So we're talking about potentially switching up the angle kit.
Well, it's not a potentially.
Well, yeah.
It's an inevitability. I really don't like these suspension kits. Granted, it's the most affordable angle kit for Mustangs, and it works. I had it for a while. I ran it for a year. I just feel like there are some serious design flaws that I think they're starting to fix now, but it's been a minute. I just like how the A-arm is cut, so like it takes a ridiculous amount of track width to get the wheels to cut into the suspension properly. At least in my experience. Your experience may differ. I know some people that have no issues. Mine also just developed a death shake for no apparent reason, and I'm not the only one that's had it. Granted, again, your mileage may vary. I'm just going off my own personal experience, but we'll make this work. The previous owners,
we're gonna get more angle.
We definitely got to get more angle.
I personally think compared to the blue car with the exact same kit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The blue car had significantly more angle.
When I set the blue car up, it was set up just about as much as you're gonna get out of that angle kit.
Yep.
The Foxbody's a little different. The wheels are a different offset.
We have some body limitations too.
The previous owners did an interesting.
Did I film any of this cutting? I don't think I did, because I knew that people would roast us.
It was very quick and janky. We didn't cut anywhere that you'll see once we put the plastic on. So
yeah,
good.
but we're more than likely have to cut even more.
These fenders are not the greatest. We're probably gonna end up doing eventually what Denofa did on his Fox. So I was at the Ford NMRA Drift Invitational with all the drag racing and stuff as well, and I got to really take a look at his Fox. And what they did is they came in here because they're running their own. He's running Scotidi 2 spaced up as much as possible. They cut from like here all the way over to here, right? So then the wheel move forward is in the well, and then they just took their over and they trimmed a little bit and brought the over forward more so it covers the back half, and it makes it look like it's supposed to be like that. And then they just riveted in like you do a body kit. And I think that's the best way to go about it. So that's an eventual, but we're just gonna make this work for now.
Yeah, because there's no sense in going too crazy, because we are gonna do
other stuff,
another kit.
I just want to get it driving good enough to where he can drive on it with like this for a little while till we decide to go bigger and badder, basically. Yep. There's not a whole lot of rearward caster adjustment left. The previous owners seemed to have maxed it out in the strut and wanted to leave the front wheel alone because they didn't want to have to trim anything because it would rub. That's my best guess, because they were already rubbing on the plastic here.
Right.
They spaced the lower control arm, and I'll show you when we get underneath it. Or actually, you know what? Let's go underneath it now. Yep. So, the previous owners had this control arm in between these 2 points spaced all the way back, right? And that was because they were worried about moving the control arm and the wheel forward and rubbing here.
Which it was.
Which it was already doing it. But by doing that, the caster, which is the angle of this ball joint right here compared to the top of the coilover, right? So you have the top of your coilover and your lower ball joint, which is right here. And basically, if you're looking at, this is the side of the car, you want the coilover to be tilted back. That's positive caster. And by having positive caster, it increases the amount of self-steer. It makes the car want to return to center. Vice versa, if you give it more, as far as I'm aware, it wants to make it go to lock, or it just makes the car not want to self-steer at all. Well, by making it so the tire wouldn't rub the fender and spacing this all the way back, it basically made the coilover straight up and down, which basically means your caster is non-existent. And when I drove the car, it was apparent, because I'd throw it in the corner and flick it, and then I'd let go of the wheel to try and get it to spin back and grab it, and it wouldn't do anything. It would just like sit there, and the car would eventually spin out.
We had to move the wheel ourselves.
We were like, and we ended up doing it at the track. I think you got a clip of me moving it. Yeah. Where basically, we ended up moving it to the center. We didn't have the tools on site to cut, really. We had to borrow that, and it didn't work that great, the Sawzall. So I just moved it to the center, knowing I'd probably end up coming back here and helping him move these forward. Yeah, well, so, we didn't want to go too crazy with cutting it because we didn't have the best of tools. This side came out much better. That other side looks a lot rougher. But we didn't want to go too crazy and cut more than what we can basically fix and make look decent later with the proper tools. Yeah. So it was just one of those, let's make it drivable but not perfect, and we'll worry about perfecting it later. Yep. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna move these all the way forward, increasing the relative angle, and you'll see when I do it, of the coilover, giving us more caster. It probably won't be the maximum amount of caster that we wanna run, but it'll be a lot closer, and it should make the car a lot more drivable. And then the other issue is, if we look at the tire, we go to lock. That's all the angle I can really put into it right now, because the wheel wants to hit on the arm. And if you space it out, it hits it worse instead of making it better. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring this lower Heim joint out enough to where we can really get the tire into the pocket. And this is what I'm talking about, where I'm really annoyed with how they cut this. I think they could have shortened this a little bit and made this more of a curved, and I don't have a picture. I'll send them a picture of my coilover kit. It curves a lot better. So I'm on 18s, these are 17s. I'm on 18s, I didn't have to bring that out at all to get my tire to cut into this pocket perfectly. Yeah. So we're just gonna bring this out. And I also have to bring the positive camber out, because by bringing the track width out, it adds negative camber. And we're already almost maxed out on this Heim joint. And I had an issue, here's a video of what happened on my car, where basically I was running such an extreme angle on it that the Heim joint eventually separated from the lower, and like I was at the firm, I think it was, and like I did one lap, and then the next lap out I hear a clunking noise. I come out and this whole thing is just kunk, 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 kunk. So we're gonna try and add as much positive camber to stop that from happening, but there's no guarantees. So it might be worth ordering an extra Heim joint or two, because these are FK Heims. They actually get a little bit more angle than stock Heim joints, or just factory Heim joints from like QA1. It might be worth ordering a couple extra of those to have on hand.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
That and tie rods. These tie rods, this one actually might already be bent. No, it looks straight, but these tie rods bend really easily, and then like the stock ones, they just have this like knurling on it that makes it impossible to turn it. Aftermarket like $3 Rock Auto ones have a hex pattern on here for a wrench.
Oh,
and it makes
nice.
it just adjusting with toe plates, especially on the ground, a ton easier.
Yep.
But that's among the adjustments. We're also gonna try and dial as much caster back into it as possible.
Yeah.
I think first things first, we'll go ahead and just kind of get the top of the coilovers maxed out and then start moving the ball joint out.
Yeah, I also had a theory that maybe the Ackerman or something was off because...
that too. These, I totally almost forgot about that. These Scotidi kits have adjustable Ackerman, right? So there's 3 bolt holes on the one side and you can adjust the Ackerman in and out. And Ackerman makes a big difference in how the car wants to handle. Zero Ackerman or negative Ackerman makes the car want to almost dive kind of inside. Basically, Ackerman is what determines if you ever look at a car, because when you turn, the outside wheel is going to turn more than the inside wheel, or less than the inside wheel, in order to go around the circle nicely, because the outside wheel has to travel a lot farther. Well, in drifting, you can actually run a negative Ackerman, where you pull the inside wheel more, and what ends up happening is it makes the front end want to pull over, but it makes the car want to shoot inside. It doesn't want to carry out. It's kind of hard to carry angle. So it's great if you're someone that like constantly gets too wide, but if you're narrow and you're struggling to get out wide, it's gonna just hamper you. We're gonna work with what we got here. I think he's got it set to negative Ackerman, and I think that's part of the other reason why the car was feeling so weird.
Yeah, well, I think I sent you some videos, but basically transitioning one way, I can snap really hard and it hooks and just goes. Then the other way, it just loops around.
That might be part of it. Also might be, I don't know I didn't double check the suspension dampening up front. We might have had the dampening off one side to the other. So one other thing that we're going to be changing as well is trying to make some adjustments to the rear. I watched a Chelsea Denofa video. Dylan watched it as well, but he kind of explained all this rear suspension stuff, and I understood it because basically everything about his video was talking about anti-squat and basically everything that we know in the drag race world, which is, you guys might not know, or you might know, squatting, getting the rear to squat is slow. That is your slow way to go kind of fast. You want anti-squat. You want that rear end to push into the ground with more force than the weight transfer could ever do. And that's how you want to set up all these different cars. I see comments whenever I go to the track, people are like, yo, your rear end's not squatting enough. It's like, no. You're trying to make it so that it comes back and pushes that rear end into the ground with so much force that there's not a chance that you can spin these tires. Well, on this drift car, we're going to be still spinning, but it's going to have that grip that we want. Same thing as with that drag race car over there. You're still going to pick up forward grip regardless of whether it's spinning or not, because it's still pushing into the ground. It's like the same concept as having a wing with a static load on the back. It's
the reason why when you watch a car at the track, and a car might go 7 seconds and it looks boring, right? It just goes. And then you watch another car and it's spinning all over the place, it's squatting, it looks crazy, and it runs like a 9.6. It's the difference there. The other car's faster. It may not look as fun, but it is fun going faster. And that's kind of the point we're getting with here. Move it back and forth real quick, just so you can see.
It's kind of hard to see.
It's hard to see the wheel, but you would see the strut move basically.
We can pull the wheel off. Give me a second. So if we look, that's all the way back on the caster camber plates, and that's all the way forward. And if you move that back more, it's going to get even more straight up and down. So when we had it at the track, it was like this. It was even straighter up. So now we're going to be a lot closer to being mint.
Okay, so we spent quite a bit of time on this side.
Trying to just figure out optimal. So if you'll see right here how maxed out that Heim joint is, where it's like a V like this. That's why I dislike this kit. It seems like no matter what car I see it on or put it on, I always have the issue with the angle of the Heim joint. Don't lose these, Dorn. So tie rod's off just to make working with this a little easier. Next we're going to take the top bolt out and loosen the bottom bolt so we have more play in that, so we can, makes it easier to get this bolt in and out. So now, it's going to be hard to see with this big chonker in the way. I've got a wobble socket over here with the impact on one side. And I'm making note of where the spacers are, because we're going to basically keep them the same and just move everything over. So you can see we got this sorted out so that they're fully spaced forward, there's no real gap. I got washers in that one to make sure it's even. If you look at the arm, when I let it fall, it falls, but it kind of doesn't like sway back and forth. That's just kind of how you want it to be. You want it to be loose and movable, but not floppy. So now, we get the fun of getting this all back together. I checked it, my distance between the top of the heim and this jam nut is 3/4 of an inch on that side. So we're gonna go, I already measured it out. I think I already set it at 3/4 of an inch on this side. I'm just going lock nut press against up to the edge, the shoulder. I need to go just a little bit more. Alright, so now you see up top right here where it was rubbing, you can see the rub marks on the coil. It just barely doesn't rub it. So I'm gonna double check that side off camera just to make sure we're good over there, but I'm pretty sure we're positive. And when we have it on the ground, we'll double check the camber to make sure they're camming on even, each side is even.
All right, so we got the car on the ground. I think you can see, especially on camera, how far forward that front is now. Got the toe plates on it. I'm gonna give it an alignment.
Okay, and the other side?
The bottom notch or the top?
Top. Okay, if you just want to set the tape measure down, it should pull itself shut.
Okay.
I need to come toe out on both sides. Where's that other adjustable?
Right over there.
Right over there. Right over here.
So with using the toe plates here, tape measure, basically front and back, helps get a measure of toe. So if they're even measurements on both sides, then that would be 0 toe. If this one is less, that would mean toe in, and obviously vice versa. But I think you either want 0 toe or a little toe in. You would never want toe out, because then it would just...
You can do toe out.
Toe out would be kind of weird though.
It makes the car act a little different. Some people like it that way, but 9 times out of 10 you want a little toe in.
Because toe out will almost like drag the front. The front
it just makes
toe
it
out
makes
means
the
it's
weird.
Yeah, the toe out would mean it's like that. So, but I am no professional here.
Yeah, this ain't an exact science either. Other than that, I'm just gonna raise the car up, check it goes lock to lock, check that we're not rubbing anything, we'll be good to go.
Yeah. Besides the fender, I'll probably have to cut.
Yeah, that's a tomorrow problem.
Yep, I'll have to cut a bit of that out.
Definitely gonna be probably a trim from like right here to like this hole, just to give yourself a little bit of extra. It's probably not even that much. So, but let's go ahead and pull my toe plates out.
Yeah, I think we got a lot more angle than we did.
Let's check in the other direction that we're going to. Don't rub, don't rub.
I mean, I still want more angle. I want all the angle.
Don't rub. Yeah, we're beautiful. So I'm gonna double check everything's tight.
Yep.
Should be good to go. But you can see here what I mean by Ackerman. Ackerman is the fact that this wheel on this side is turned a lot more than that wheel on that side. And that's Ackerman.
Yeah, it was very different before.
So.
No, I really think we got a lot more angle out of it now. Oh, this car needs a good cleaning.
Cool.
Looking pretty good. All right, I think we got a lot knocked out on our list today.
A lot. I think the list is pretty much knocked down to trim fenders, lower control arm relocations in the rear, and a little bit of tuning adjustment, and you're good to go.
Yeah, I think so. The angle, just based off of looks, I think it's better. I think we should have some more caster. Yeah, dude, I think that's Has a good amount more. At least for now. The Ackerman's definitely better too.
The Ackerman and the Caster are going to be the two biggest difference makers. I think you're going to be like, the car just wants it. The car's going to want to drive with you a lot more than instead of you have to drive around the car.
Yep.
A lot more of like, throw it in, let the wheel go and grab it again, like let it feed through your hands instead of you having to force feed it to get it to go how you want it to go. So, I think it's going to be a big improvement, but ultimately,
oh yeah. We'll have to
make
test
better
it.
improvements when we get a better ankle kit, but
yep.
For now it works.
Yep. Yeah, we need that that wheel like that. 90 degrees, right?
Is what it is. Yep. We want that shopping cart angle. Shopping cart is the goal. Like my car, just full like, oh my god, you can turn like you can't physically go from a stop at that angle because it's like gonna push.
Oh yeah. Well, Dylan's car will be back soon. You want to show off your little
Oh, we may. I may be making a little bit of a purchase. The
good old Coyote. Right over here.
Little yodel.
I didn't even clean it.
So.
Didn't even clean it up, and
We're gonna.
the 2-valve heard that.
2-valve heard there's a possibility for a Coyote and shit the brick.
Yeah. So we got a nice truck Coyote. Obviously it's dusty and dirty, but this thing ran nice. We popped off a valve cover. She looks great. I was gonna list it up on the internet, and Dylan scooped it up before it even made it to the site.
That when some shit happens, you gotta make lemonade.
Oh yeah. So anyway, guys, hit the like button down below if you want to check out Dylan's Instagram. It'll be up there.
I have a YouTube channel too.
YouTube channel? Yeah.
Same thing, skid valve.
Skid valve. And we'll be back skidding this thing here pretty soon.